Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. At the end of February 2024, 317 athletes from 29 countries headed to the beautiful Saudi Arabia to take part in the ARAMCO Challenge Toughest Firefighter Alive. 14 of these athletes were firefighters from the UK Fire and Rescue Service, and over the course of 2 weeks, we did battle with every nation in attendance, from fire truck challenges to PPE challenges to fire station cook-offs. That was a hell of an event. And also the Blue Ribbon Toughest Firefighter Alive. Some of the hardest 40 minutes that firefighters have endured in any firefighter fitness competition across the world. Now, I was lucky enough to be one of those athletes, and as you won't be surprised, I took the opportunity to think, whilst I'm out there with these tactical athletes, these beautiful freaks from all around the world and our first responder brothers and sisters, to grab a few occasions where we would sit down with some microphones and hear a little bit about what life is like and what the fire service is like in their part of the world. So over the next couple of weeks, we are going to do a quick mini-series of a TFA, that's Toughest Firefighter Alive roundup, from a whole bunch of these chats. You're going to hear what the fire service is like in Brazil. How do you join it in America, Canada, Australia? We hear from New Zealand. We hear about all the different competitions that are around the world. We also talk about a lot of health and well-being. So if fitness is not your thing, then fear not, we are going to be delving into lots of different areas, a little bit around how these people started their careers. And of course, we're going to be doing mini kind of debriefs about what the event was like. And there's also some surprising, really heartfelt stuff in there. Some incredible stuff comes out when you sit down with these individuals. I always say that people from the first responder community are absolutely fascinating individuals. The reason they are attracted to our sector is usually because they don't fit in other places, which means they're a little bit wild, a little bit wacky, and absolutely my kind of people. So rest assured, we will be dropping our normal episodes every Monday as well. But consider these a little bit of a bonus and hopefully some insights and some incentives for more fire and rescue services around the world to see the value in the networking and the celebration and also the recognition that is firefighter challenge environments all over the world. So I hope you enjoy this mini-series, and please think about sharing it with someone else in your circle. We go in lots of different directions where lots of people would take benefit. So don't be selfish. Be sure to tag this, follow it, rate it on the platform you listen to, and share it. Bounce it into that WhatsApp group for everyone else to take value from hearing the voices, the stories, and the shared lived experiences of firefighters and first responders from all over the world. We were sat at dinner the other night. We were talking about Mumbai and they talk about the history of the TFA. I've been lucky enough to be around you guys, and you've invited me into this kind of, not inner circle, it's not a, it's not like a meritocracy thing, but it's like, I felt really privileged to get to know everybody. But even for me, people probably think I know everything about it, and I really don't, because last night was another great example. Like, if you can both try and help us start connecting the dots between when did this, talk to us about TFA versus Firefight versus BFC, and connect some of these historical dots, because Mickey, you probably go back further than any of us, and you know some of the goats in the arena as well.
He's an old man.
The old man is an old man.
The funny thing was, I knew John a lot earlier than I actually remembered.
Okay.
Because there's a photo of me and I think it might have been when we were in Belfast. Yeah.
Babyface John back then.
Babyface John. But yeah, for me, the first thing was it was the World Firefighter Games, and they held it in Liverpool.
Yes.
And I was always a good power lifter, you know, and I went over and I did that, and I did very well.
You won that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. In my age and weight category, I won that. I did the fire truck challenge, and I think I got a silver. I did arm wrestling and stuff. And
so was this, John Hartley had become involved by then, or was it just before his time, wasn't it, I think?
Before his time, yeah.
Yeah, there was another old boy that handed it over, because obviously we had the episode with John recently, and my memory's failing me a little bit, but yeah, John transitioned into it after that. Did you meet John there, though?
No.
You met Kev there, did you?
I knew of Kev there because Kev was doing the fire truck challenge.
Okay.
And I remember just his voice and him speaking, because he thought he was going to win it.
Okay.
But that was, when you kind of like, a future events. Oh, you were here. You were there. That's when, like you said, you connect kind of like the dots.
So who else was going to the games from the UK then? Because that was the first that was the first time the World Firefighter Games was in the UK?
No, I think they had an earlier one that might have been in Leeds.
Okay.
And that might have been maybe 2006. Don't quote me on that. But that's...
What was the attendance like from the UK services then? Was anyone else go from yours or?
Yeah. A few because it's quite kind of more of an Olympics. The TFA is just part of it. Yeah. And people were going. Cyclists were going. People who could shoot guns were going.
There's so many crazy events. When I was reading down his list, there's everything. Tabs is in it. I'm not surprised more people don't put Tabs teams in because. Jesus, everyone on the fire station plays tabs.
Tug of war.
Tug of war
was there.
That's great. Stuff like that. And also, John was telling me, if your kid is older than 18, your kid can do it.
Yeah.
So that really is the family side of it. Whereas obviously TFAs and BFCs and stuff like that, we're looking for members of the fire service. If you're serving with it and stuff like that.
I think you need to be from that environment.
Yes, 100%.
That could be a world of hurt if you're just stepping into that.
Yeah.
And believe me, I know that.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gore-Tex Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together. So, had you done any kind of firefit thing, or was World Firefighter Games you first stepping into the world?
So I did that, and I did the events like everyone would do.
Yeah, just an athlete. Yeah.
And then when I got back to station, a colleague said, he goes, but you're only comparing yourself to kind of like firefighters. For you to be good at, to compare yourself against the people, who do powerlifting, then you need to be at the national level. And he said, if you want to judge yourself against other firefighters, there's a TFA that they hold in Mönchengladbach in Germany, every year.
Yeah.
And he showed me it, and I went, yeah, no problem, we'll go over. And long story short,
how old would you have been then? Sorry.
I was quite old. I must have been 42, 43. Wow. So I was old, older. Anyway, we just.
But you've always had that really healthy, some people would see it audacious. So I've had it as well, and I still feel like I have it, even though all my injuries and stuff. That's self-belief. It's one of the things I try and give my daughter. If I give my kids anything, it's self-confidence, self-belief. Yeah. Not like ego, not like audacious, ridiculous optimism. If you can't do the thing, there's no point trying to fly if you can't actually fly.
Yeah.
But that sort of self-belief, you've got to have. I see a lot of people self-deprecating these days. They don't think they're going to do well. They don't believe in themselves. Even at stuff like this, I'm like, all the people we've invited here, John, they wouldn't be here if we didn't think they could actually do the thing. Yeah. I mean, there's some incredible athletes that couldn't make it here today, and we acknowledge them, and the Jacks of the world and stuff like that. It's incredible people. But timings and logistics, but the people that are here, they can actually do it. But why have you always had that sort of audacious self-belief, that cheekiness of no, I can do it. I'll just put me in. I'll have a crack. Because you didn't know anything about it before you went to Mönchengladbach.
No. But I come from kind of like a gym, sort of leisure industry background, And before
your family's got some strong characters as well.
Yes, there are.
There's some strong characters.
Them, So I think I get a lot of my heritage from the Scottish part. That tenacious, kind of blind, sort of stubborn attitude where you're I'm going to do
Same
this.
for me. My family's the Campbells.
Yeah.
And that audacious self-belief.
Yeah.
They tell you how they see it. So you went out there off the suggestion of, I think this guy, we're not going to say who it was, but it was like an area or a scene. It went on to be a chief fire officer, I think, the person you're speaking about.
No,
but it doesn't matter who it was.
He's left the brigade now.
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
Oh wow. Okay.
He went off into that field. Great guy, and for him, him and I, his mentality of when we used to train. I remember after we'd done the first TFA, because I just rocked up. I could run 5K in about 20 minutes. Very, very strong.
Yep.
Good endurance, because all my training was always based on that. I did a lot of martial arts when I was younger, and a lot of power.
Real hybrid
stuff.
athlete, yeah.
And I just rocked up with these games, just shooting the breeze. It's just me and him. The funny thing was, I'd literally just been to a restaurant and ate half a chicken, and then rocked up, and then turned up on this course, looked at it, and then very, very soon after I thought, oh.
So for people that have never seen it, again, because this is the beauty of it, we've all spoken about it many times, and the Mönchengladbach model is a really, really nice model. Talk people about what the layout is there, because the locations are very beautiful as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, actually, the competition is held on the site of a hospital, and at various moments I was thinking, thank God I'm on a hospital site, because I did not feel very, very well.
Yeah.
And that was after station 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on a hospital site, and you move around the stations around the site. So the first one is like you'd see here. It's just a hose drag, but I don't know. In my mind, it's bigger hose and it feels longer.
And you clip it into the trucks out there, don't
so
you?
there's
It's
a
the Storks
truck
couplings onto the trucks.
And you're under air.
Yes, that's the first one I
station.
ever did under air, actually.
It is longer. I think the
Yes,
German
it is.
drag is 70 metres. This is 46.
I think it's 80.
Is it? Yeah, it's definitely a lot longer.
And you really, really have to work
Yeah.
to get it over that line. So yeah, and you're under air. Maybe that's why it feels harder, because you're under air.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
First start, couple into the back of a truck, grab your 2 lengths of hose, and off you go, fill it 70, 80 metres. Drop those down, hose makeup, same as here in the box, and then knock the button, and you're over the line.
So that's the first time. How did you find it? You say obviously you struggled with it.
Yeah, I didn't struggle with it, but you don't know. I've never done that sort of thing before. So how do I gauge it? I just went all out.
Yeah.
Smoked my legs. By the time I'd hit that button, my legs were they were history.
Yeah.
And I was lying on the floor, and it's that thing where as time goes on, the more the lactic acid kicks in, and you're thinking, geez, I'm not really recovering from there. And then before you know, 2 minutes till you start your next start, and I'm getting up thinking, I haven't even recovered from this. Yeah, here we go. And that was my first encounter with the force machine. Never hit one before, never seen how it was done. I went out there just swinging.
Yeah.
and it took me, I think it was about, I remember it was about 28 hits of this thing. And it really, it's an unassuming bit of equipment, because you don't realise how much fatigue you can pick up if you're not doing it correctly.
Yes.
And I was the true kind of picture of that. I did that straight onto the hose drag, and the dummy drag. And the difference between this competition and the Mönchengladbach is that you've got the 85 kilo Rescue Randy, and I think the drag is longer as well. It's 90 metres in the Mönchengladbach one.
I don't like the Rescue Randys. I don't feel like they're as realistic because they're so rigid. I mean, they hurt my forearms as well, to be brutally honest here, but they're really rigid. And I know the Americans use them for everything, but like we've seen on the course, even whilst we've been out here, I feel like the Ruth Lee dummies, they flop around more, which is a little bit more realistic. They aren't as rigid. Obviously, they haven't got any like a casualty would have.
Yeah.
But if you don't really grip them well, they will slip out. Whereas a Rescue Randy, you can almost mount it on your chest, can't you? And then just kind of go with it.
Try mounting a Rescue Randy on
85,
your chest, and try to do that for 90 metres.
Yeah.
Because once you've made that first turn and you're heading back, then you're thinking, whew.
Do you know what I think's the worst though? I keep forgetting the name of it, but we had the log with the what competition was that?
The Europa Challenge.
Europa Challenge.
Yeah.
I think that is the hardest one because that is
I'd like that because you can keep it in front of you. You can grip it like a deadlift.
It's not hitting your,
No,
it's not hitting your thighs.
It's not on your chest. It's not tripping you over.
I like that one the most. But that's where you smashed your ankle up on it, wasn't it? Where someone smacked you with it
on that log. And there were 2 helpers who were supposed to come in as you crossed the finish line. And they take your log off you. And I've come over. One of them's come and grabbed hold.
Yeah.
And the other one was just he was distracted. And when I let it go, it missed the toe cap of my boot and smashed me right on the top.
So for the visual, for people that don't know what I'm about, this is it's a big log and it's got a steel pipe that's through the top of it that you're supposed to grab as purchase. But like you can throw a Rescue Randy or a Ruth Lee dummy any way you like. But this thing, if you don't think a little bit as you place it down, it will do you some damage.
Place it down.
Yeah. So who else did you meet on this first TFA? And after you'd done it, like, how did you catch the bug for it? Because some people will see this and go, oh, it was a laugh, but it's not really a sport.
Yeah.
Whereas some people will go elbow deep in this.
Yeah. So the first, on that first competition, I met Kev Ruan and Chris Trendovitz. And
Was Chris just out there by himself? Or?
he was. I think he was Kev's.
He was an understudy, wasn't he? As a protege.
And I think Kev had done quite a few TFA because he knew John and he knows Opar and he knew a lot of the guys from the TFA background and the World Firefighter.
I don't know about Kev though. I think he's one of those that will just go out and do stuff by himself.
Yeah, he does.
Because he's moved services.
Yeah.
He doesn't follow. He doesn't need someone to take him somewhere first.
Yeah, he's a free
he doesn't
spirit,
need someone to hold his hand.
Yeah.
I love that guy. Yeah. That's a real no, I'll go. It's fine. I don't need to do what everyone else has done. Yeah. Without people like that, and without what you guys have done with the BFC, it's like there's people that would have stayed in the cave forever.
Yeah, but just remember that he's the one, who he came up with the concept. Where were we? We were in Hanover for the European Championships, and we were walking around. He said, "Mike, we've got to do our own challenge." And I was like, "Hey, let's do the TFA. Let's do the FCC. Let's do the Firefit model." And he went, "No, we need something that's unique to the British, to the UK." And we sat down, we talked about various ideas, and he came up with the concept. We'll use the tower, we'll have the force machine, but we'll add a hose drag, but it's not going to be charged. Yep. And then the foam carry, the foam makeup, the hose makeup, and that sort of stuff. And that's kind of like because the first one was Nottingham, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Nottingham car park. Yeah.
So who did we have on board with this? Because how did you find your way into the mix, John?
So meeting these in Belfast.
Okay.
But Mickey's on it with Kev. Kev was the original. That's why we call him the Godfather.
Yeah.
And he is a father figure to the group, and especially Chris. I met Mickey, Budge. I met these guys in Belfast at the police and fire games, and they already knew Kev. They told me I need to come out to this competition, the TFA in Germany. Yeah. He said,
that was because I did the same to Budge. After we kind of jumped a little bit after. I remember I got to the top of the staircase, the tower run, and in it's 15 floors, but they're 4-meter floors, which equates to 20 floors in the UK.
I was going to say I thought it was 20.
With that steel kind of
because this one's weird here. It's 13 floors, but it's only actually 8.
Yeah,
because they're bigger floors.
Because of the height.
I don't know why that is, but it's
and
weird.
I when I got to the top, I couldn't stand up. And every time I stood up, that lactic acid would just come flooding back in, and I was lightheaded, and my legs were spasming, and I think I was up there for about an hour. And then I managed to get myself down, and I remember I was sat between first and second stages, just resting, and I was watching these guys, the likes of Joachim Posans, and Mike Vikam, those were the original guys there. I'm trying to think, who was the Austrian guy? I just remember he was in my age category, and
Isn't it weird when you connect the dots looking backwards? Because when I've been seeing people here, and we're all probably the same, you meet so many people, you forget names, but you remember faces, Martin. I think I met Martin at my very first one,
Martin Breeden.
Because I was thinking back on pictures that I've got. Yeah. I've got a picture with Joachim. Yeah. I've got a picture with Martin, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I've met you years ago.
Yeah. All of those guys were the key. Jens was a little bit younger. Yeah. But Martin I've known for a very long time.
I think Jens did it from day dot by the sounds of it. He's
from when he came out of his nappies.
From his 18, everyone's just said, he's going to do it. He's going to make him the golden boy sort of thing. And he is incredible at it. So, did you have a service in mind behind you? Because it's all great having an idea. This is always the annoying thing about the fire service, and I think the podcast has been unique because it's not even a thing. It just lives virtually, so you don't really need any support to do it. But this is you've got an idea, but actually we're going to need fire engines and locations and equipment and stuff, and it's a new thing, and we all know UK Fire and Rescue. Firefighters don't like the way things are, they don't like change, so new ideas are tough. And you're all from different services, and I'm sure when you'll go back to your own services, you feel like lone, passionate freaks because you love it, but everyone else is we're worrying about culture and fire response and availability. We don't care about this fitness thing. We write it on walls and on documents, but it's kind of like a buzzword. Who did you think, what service were you going to get behind it for the first one? How did it go from that to the first thing in Nottingham?
Well, Kev was from Nottingham at the time.
Okay.
And he was quite high up. So he's a very good networker as well.
Yeah, he does.
So what he did was he went round, he looked at a few locations. It was on the university, Nottingham University campus, wasn't it? He looked at that. So he did all of that kind of groundwork. And in that's when we started to formulate who was going to look after what area. And I remember he said to me, Mickey J, you're going to be in charge of refereeing everyone because people are going to look at you, and when you say something, your word is good. And I went, yeah. And he said, so what about force machines? And I went, yeah, I know a company that can help us out. And then the next thing for me was just, right, so I looked at getting a force, and they were like £2,000.
Wow.
That's £4,000, and that was back then.
I remember when I get stuff done for fabrication when I used to have the gyms. Fabrication's expensive.
Yeah.
And also, it's a dying skill set. No one seems to be retraining it these days.
No,
if you've got a good fabricator, they're worth a weight in gold now.
And I had a good fabricator.
Yeah.
And I pitched it to him, and they made us our 2 force machines for free.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah, they did
bless
it all
them.
as a kind of like a sponsorship to
Are they still in business?
Oh, yeah.
Shout them out. Who is it?
They're Corehaven, steel and metal fabrication.
Corehaven.
And they make.
I'll try and find
everything.
a link for people, and I'll put it in here because there'll be a lot of services looking for this stuff.
They'll make. If you come up with a design, they'll fabricate it for you. I go into there. I know the guy. His name's Mark, and I go in there, week in, week out, and have a conversation because he does stuff for me when I'm at home for the small little business that I have. And I'd go in and he's making like a horse box, or he's converting plates for campers or making railings and stuff like that. So,
that engineering mindset of bringing ideas into reality, fabricators are fantastic at that, and they help you understand what it is you're actually asking for, and they can make it happen. So getting the kit sorted, going to happen in Nottingham. Talk us through who was in that. So it was you, Rob, John, Kev
and Chris.
Was that was the first?
That's the core.
That's still the core today.
It's still the core.
Yeah.
So the only thing that changed was Kev just wanted to get the ball rolling. So Kev got the ball rolling, and then as soon as we did Nottingham, he went, "Here you go, guys. Over to you."
Over to you.
Yeah. Here's your model. Off you go.
But the idea grew, like Mickey said, from from Hanover. We were all over in Hanover doing the TFA. So every year it's in Mönchengladbach, but every fifth year they do it at an expo. Like we've got the NEC Emergency Services, they do the TFA at their expo.
Oh, do they?
You know how big the emergency services is. This thing's on steroids. It is massive, and you have.
Have you been to Intershoots?
100-meter Alps.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it is Intershoots.
Yeah, that's what I'm
all right,
about.
I've never been. I want to go to Intershoots.
You want to go because it's
I need to go to FDIC and I need to go to Intershoots. I've had like 4 or 5 invites now. Having a job sucks, doesn't it? Because
tap up Sasha. He's always he's Mr. Esgard.
I'm not struggling with funding. I'm struggling with time.
No, not funding. But he'll say, "Come over." He'll show you.
I know.
Because he again.
My service keep asking me to go to work. It's so disrespectful. I think it's just inconvenient. I have to have a job.
You need to retire.
Anyway, so. In other news, this episode is brought to you in partnership with MSA Safety. Today we have them to thank for the improved firefighter safety through connectivity in their brand new connected firefighter system. At the centre of the connected firefighter platform is the MSA M1 SCBA with telemetry. You can view battery life, air pressure and estimated time remaining either independently on the M1 itself or from the Luna connected device screen. Also, still with the air status, alarm information, search status and all of this provided to the incident command for confident decision making during the scene. That integrates straight in with the Luna system, which is a wireless all-in-one device creating an independent search and rescue network, providing edge detection, enhanced personal thermal imaging, while simplifying post-scene reporting and data retention. One of the key parts of the Luna is their FAST system, the Firefighting Assisting Search Technology. This combines directional and distance information with thermal imaging to help find separated teammates and decrease response time. It actually connects you to the other crews in the vicinity for a unified search during the time of mutual aid by instantly notifying the network of Luna devices when there is a downed crew member, allowing for a prompt search and rescue. All of this then plugs into the FireGrid system for cloud-based connectivity, real-time information, and data-driven decisions for the incident commander. It enables you to see the exact location of your firefighters on the scene. And it doesn't require you to be sat on the station. The MSA Hub then provides a wireless gateway straight to the cloud, enabling wireless on-scene data for local and remote incident command for additional eyes on the scene. MSA are truly taking massive strides in the future of improved firefighter safety through connectivity. MSA is dedicated to increasing safety in the fire service through technological advancements. Various feature enhancements, new products, partnerships, and integrations will provide additional capabilities readily accessible by products, software, and services in the brand new MSA Connected Firefighter platform. Now back to the show.
Yeah, we said we'd have, I think, we had about 12, 14 guys that went out to Hanover, and pretty much every single one of them was like, yeah, we'll help.
Yeah.
And that 12 became 4.
Yeah. Always the case, isn't it?
So, but those 4, we're still tight, we're still doing it, so yeah, still going.
And I think that shows the passion in it, because going back to the first Mönchengladbach, I remember just the way I felt, and in my head was, this is firefighter fitness. This is the standard everyone should be at. Everyone should compete in this. This is what sets us, because if you can do this, this is it. I remember coming back from Mönchengladbach, and we took the pump out, and I said to my watch commander, do you mind if we go to London View Tower Block? I just want to do a couple of stair runs, just in my fire kit. And I put my fire kit on, BA set, they were on the pump, we're on call. I've run up 18 floors, and I swear, sorry, but I was done.
Yeah.
And even coming back, I was sat on the pump thinking, if we get a call now, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be effective in any way, shape, or form.
But that is right, though. That is the standard of fitness. Because if we go off the minimum standard of fitness, the minimum standard of fitness does not account for walking up 10 floors with kit.
So how did you guys navigate that conversation? Because again, people hearing this for the first time, or people who are still experiencing BFC and the Welsh and the Cheshire and whatever in the UK for the first time, because there's so many people joining the services now, which is great for us and what we do, because people are so into it, but they won't perhaps be able to remember the fact that when this stuff first started coming about, it may have been seen by some in some services as elitist, as a bit toxic masculinity, as a bit they don't need to do that, Mickey. John, we've got the fitness standard. Why are you enforcing this thing? It's not necessary. Actually, it's dangerous.
I think that's why.
How was that received? Because now a lot of services seem to support it. They're hand over fist trying to get involved in it. A lot of services want to do their own. That wasn't always the case, surely.
Go back to what Mickey said. What we created is, and Kev's vision at the beginning was, it's a hybrid.
Okay.
So it's the best of Firefighter Combat Challenge and TFA, where in the Firefighter Combat Challenge it's shorter but it's heavier.
Yep.
We wanted something that, bear in mind, in UK we're reaching out to all demographics. We're trying to not lower the bar, but it's about kind of making it
accessible. Yeah.
Exactly. So the British Firefighter Challenge was all about making it accessible. So we made the weights a little bit lighter, but we made the runs a little bit longer. So we made it achievable, but it's still tough. That, like I say, there's the minimum fitness standard, and then there's this event. And if you can do the British Firefighter Challenge, then open your eyes, because you can come with us to Europe, you can come around the world and meet people from other competitions around the world. So it's a stepping stone, is what the British Firefighter Challenge is.
The opportunities for that, I mean, we've got some of the great British athletes out, and Helena, Chrissy, some really impressive people out here. Let's segue into some of the opportunities it does give you, because we were having a great conversation about Mumbai the other night.
Yeah.
Help people understand, like, from both of your travels, you've been to a lot of really interesting places to help them. I mean, that's kind of what we're here as well. You guys have come over here to help Saudi look at the model and how they can improve theirs.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the Mumbai trip, how that came about and what it was. And
it was quite funny. I was just my colleague Sasha, who's from Germany. He just came up. He said, "Hey, would you want to come over to Mumbai and just train up 20, 30 guys for a competition?" And in my head, I thought that they were going to be coming to a competition somewhere nearby. And
what was this off the back of, though? Why did he ask you to do it?
When you listen to the story of Mumbai, it's actually a really, really funny one, because he's a sales director for S-Guard, and he was out in Mumbai, obviously, pitching his stuff. Yeah. And I think he was sat in the lobby of the chief fire officer, his offices for about 5 hours with hundreds of other people.
Jeez.
Prabhat Rangdale,
a
great guy. He was, from Mumbai. If you meet him, when you compare him as our chief, my heart to him, he's a lovely, lovely guy. Fantastic. So he was sat there in the foyer for about 5 hours. Finally, he gets his chance to go in. Prabhat sitting down, he's doing his paperwork. Sasha's sitting opposite him, pitching his stuff, and Prabhat doesn't look up, and he just said, yeah, okay, just leave it on the desk, and and I'll have a look. And Sasha said to him, no. He said, if I leave this room, you will never see me again. And then Prabhat looked up, and they had this conversation, and how intense and Sasha.
I love Sasha's intense. Like when you meet him for the first time, you don't know how to take him.
Yeah.
Because he's very magnetic, infectious personality.
Yes. But
you've got to be willing to play with him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't know how to take him.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, depending on his mood, you just think, wow.
Yeah.
He's
such a lovely guy.
Brother. He's a true. When you know him and understand him like we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he Prabhat sat up, looked, and he said, "I'm sorry, I've just got so much. Let me meet you for a drink later."
Yeah.
And that's where it all went, because they were talking. Now the Mumbai Fire Service is based off the UK Fire Service.
Oh, really?
So they still have pride and passion in the pump runs, the ladder pitches, and all of that sort of stuff.
The old manuals of firemanship and drill by.
Yeah, all of that stuff. And Prabhat was proudly presenting that to Sasha, and Sasha says, "Hey, have you seen this competition?" And that is where it manifested itself. I think your chief fire officer was out there at that time, because I'm sure that they were in the bar with your
ex-chief.
Ex-chief,
So he moved over to, I think, PBI or something at the time. So Sasha was just in a conference with a number of other equipment providers.
Yeah.
And I get the video call. This is surreal. I'm now chatting to my ex-chief.
Yeah,
love it. And so what was the brief? Because it was supposed to be 30 people.
For me, the brief was just fly out, just train some guys up, show them how to just the fundamentals of the competition.
Yeah.
Leave them with a little training program, because we're going to hold it in 3 months' time.
Okay.
So I flew out there, and I loved Mumbai. Everyone was really, really welcoming, really, really helpful. And I turned up at their training facility, which is their main training facility for recruits and firefighters. And I couldn't tell you how many. There must have been over 300 guys there. And I'm looking around, and I'm like straight on the front.
Are you just on your own?
Yeah, it's just me. I'm like, I rang Sash. I said, Sash, 20, 30 guys. He's like, yeah. I said, there's over 300 guys here. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll have a conversation. But what I didn't realise was that after their initial conversation, it manifested, because it was just going to be a regional thing in Mumbai.
Yeah.
But then as the rumour went round, fire services from all over India wanted to get involved.
Yeah.
And because they had no experience, come. Let's train.
We have British champion coming over. He's gonna give us all of his secrets and all of his gifts, and 300 people showing up.
Yeah.
Did they have any kit for you? Did they have any?
No, they were in the process of putting this kit together. So we had a force machine, we had a dummy. They were still constructing the tower, but that wasn't kind of like the real issue. So I was thinking, right, how am I going to go about this? And the first thing I did was we sat in a big, kind of like conference room, and I just put on a video showing them all the music and stuff and what it was about. And then, we talked about the main elements. And in my head, I was thinking, how am I going to do? I've got a week. How am I going to do this?
Are they all English speaking as well?
Most of them.
Bit of a barrier as well.
Yeah. No, most of them. But communication was very, very easy, because I think English was their second language, and anyone who didn't speak English, the communication flowed. So I just thought, I know what I'll do. Let's go to good old Rescue Randy. He puts people on the spot.
Breaks the boys from the men. Yeah.
Sure
Are they all men? There were any women in the fire service?
There were.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's
wicked. And there was they put together a women's team, and they nearly beat the international women's team who went out in the competition. The only thing that stopped them was the girl on the dummy fell over.
Oh bless her.
And they were ahead. So if she'd have just stayed on her feet, they would have won it.
So you got the Rescue Randy out and just
I got Rescue Randy, and I lined them up in 2 lines, and I said, right, there's the dummy. I showed them. I just did one run through, pick it up, move it from here over to here, and anyone that struggled even picking it up, I just you're right. You're over
bless
there.
them.
You're over there, and it was brutal.
What was the expectation? Were you going to say this select we're going to train to do it, and the rest of you
that's
thank
what
you for
I
coming?
did.
But
so I was just looking for potential.
At that scale and the time cap you had, you've got to be a little bit. We've got to see who's serious here, and don't want to put people under false pretenses, because there's no point putting you on the course and you can't do it.
It looks bad if you've got competitor after competitor coming in and not even.
I won't embarrass anybody, do
exactly.
it? So,
and that's the thing. And they were coming up against honed, seasoned international competitors who were 10, 20 years in. And you don't want to kind of like set that. And 3 months is not realistic, really.
How did they perform?
Very, very well. I think watching them perform at the end of it, I had like hairs on the back of my neck. When you want to just well up and cry just from the emotion of them. It was funny. Do you remember when we turned up into the stadium?
Yeah.
So it was this big thing. I didn't realise. I went over there thinking we were just going to do some low-key thing. And, after that, I think I was there for the week. And on the first day of training, I'd had a group of guys, we were settling, we were doing trainings like camps and stuff. I was there from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening with different groups doing stuff, all the way through the day. And then Thursday, all of these media trucks roll up, and I remember a guy, very charismatic guy, Gotham, turns up. He says, "Hi, Mike, I'm Gotham," really enthusiastic. Shakes my hand. He said, "Okay, so we're going to have an interview. I need to get you into makeup." And I'm like, whoa. No, I'm not.
Today's podcast is powered by our partner Lifelines and their revolutionary approach to functional hydration. Just like in firefighting, water is essential for body function, but studies show more than 80% of firefighters are dehydrated. A 25-year study findings from the National Institute of Health showed poor hydration to be linked to early aging and chronic disease, and even mild dehydration results in significant negative impact outcomes including headaches, exhaustion, rapid pulse, irritability, and poor cognitive function. A study conducted by Yale University showed that participants who were just 1% dehydrated had a 12% increase in errors when performing tasks that required cognitive flexibility. In addition, dehydration is shown to worsen mood and attitude, contribute to confusion and poor decision making, and negatively affect memory and judgment. In other words, you really don't want your incident commander, firefighter, or for that matter any first responder on a critical scene to be even slightly dehydrated. Mild dehydration occurs when a person is just 1.5% dehydrated, a condition that does not even trigger the thirst response in most people. So just imagine how quickly a firefighter or any first responder can and does become dehydrated in their day-to-day duties, which is why I address my hydration first thing every day with Lifelines. Go into the notes for this episode and specifically check out Lifelines Hydro Fuel and Hydro OG by clicking in the notes for the podcast for a clean energy solution designed for those who demand more from their day. Now back to the show. Indian media always looks so for jazz and bang. It's all so...
They're like Bollywood superstar. They're the top guy in Bollywood. Like imagine like a Tom Cruise or someone coming over. They had that
Jason
figure.
Statham.
Indian cinema's massive,
I can't remember what his name was, but he was there and he was like the guy that they all absolutely adore. He's like a god to them.
And they're singers as well. And from the pop
like
industry.
stage performers, they can do it all.
But when I mean it was a spectacle. It was a spectacle. I mean, I never told anyone that I was going out there. No one at all. I just, I'll go over. They said that they'll pay for stuff. I just booked in leave and I just disappeared. I think the only people that knew were John to a certain extent and Rob. And I went out, and then when I came back, my brigade were like, "Oh, so, what were you doing out in Mumbai?" And I was like, "How do you know?" But because it was in Reuters, it was in the international news, unbeknownst to me, it filtered back to the UK. But
Fitness ambassador from the UK Fire Service.
Do you
know what, though? That's a really segue for an important point there. It's like, whenever I see this stuff, like me as a typical example, I shouldn't do well in any of this stuff. There's so many people in the UK Fire and Rescue Service, far fitter than any three of us. But you have to have that bit of audacity and, again, self-belief to put yourself out there, to be willing to make mistakes, be willing to look stupid, for willing to people to go, "Why is Mickey going? Mickey's not anything. Mickey's why him, not me." I'm like, shy kids don't get sweets. Put yourself out. You're too busy trying to pretend you're perfect. Get over yourself and get involved. Do you know what I mean? That aspect of being willing to get involved and muddle through it.
I think you've got to have that mentality where, you put yourself out there to expose your weaknesses, and that's, I like
And
that.
also, it's more important than just you. Like, we're out here right now representing the UK. It's not the John Gregory show, it's not the Pete Wakefield show, it's not the Mickey show, it's the wider thing is more important than the individual, you know what I mean, and what it stands for. And that's why it's called the British Firefighter. It's not called, whatever. Your names are interchangeable. The thing is more important than what we stand for.
I think Joachim Posant said it best as well. He's always said to us, it's one thing as well coming over to one competition and coming over think you can do it, it's coming back. It's coming back year after year and dedicating yourself to this type of fitness, because ultimately this type of fitness is what we do. It's our job. So it's not just a strongman competition. It's our job, and actually to come back and learn it and learn your trade and see how people from around the world do it.
You ask anyone who's done the individual, even yourself, but you've experienced it. Anyone who hasn't experienced it and has experienced it for the first time here, you'd see that look in their eyes, and they know. They know.
Well, Jared's another example of that. Like, I always said to him, like, why don't you do like CrossFit or something? Why have you made this your everything? And he's like, well, because it's what we stand for. You know, his like third generation firefighter, his brothers do it, his dad's done it, and he's like, this is really important to me and what that is. But he's never done the TFA as well, so this is like his first experience of that. And he is another Joachim, and different place of the world. It's what it stands for, and there's some incredible, May Timber and stuff like that. Those sorts of people are like, and people like Helena and Chrissy, and we've got some people in the UK are making those waves now. And I'm like, it's nice that it's become big enough for it to be your thing.
And that's what the BFC is about, because there are a lot of people that, most people are starting to know what a firefighter challenge is. I think we've made it big enough now where I think people do know around the services. People now stream it live from their stations. They watch it as a group. They watch what's going on. But it's proving to the fire service as a whole that this is what we do, and the fireground fitness test is what we should be doing, and this is what we should be doing, because it's above and beyond the minimum fitness test. This is about being able to actually do what we're supposed to do. It's not just about doing a walking test and saying, I'm fit enough to do the job, but can you actually do the job?
Bear
and
in
it's
mind
when you come to these competitions.
Those fitness tests, people are only walking to the minimum standard.
Minimum, exactly.
And that's the thing I could never get my head around. Why would you walk to the minimum of something? You want to be at the maximum.
When you do the TFA
you
or
fall
the
to
BFC,
the level of your training, don't you?
You think about all the things that you do before you get to the dummy drag, on the BFC, on the TFA, on the FCC. All of that, dragging hose, doing all the stairs, that is exactly what we do on the fireground. And if you can't do those things, and if you can't pick a dummy up, you aren't fit enough to do what you need to be able to do. And you can give people a casualty handling strap, you can give all these people extra equipment, but if you haven't got the basic fitness to do the thing that you're supposed to do, then that walking test, that minimum standard, is pointless.
But you know what? Even to zoom out from the physical aspect of it, and I said this to you when we had a chat pre-BFC a little while ago, it was like, this is a fantastic opportunity, the BFC and all of this, to celebrate our first responders and our firefighters in a really positive manner. There's so much stuff going on, culturally, disciplinary, financially, blah, blah, whatever. Every firefighter in the UK feels like every corner they turn, they're being hit with a stick in the media. This stands for teamwork, integrity, equality. We're talking about the women's attendance at the BFC and how that's skyrocketed.
That's
if
fantastic.
any service would snap your arm off to be able to achieve the equality, the inclusivity that BFC has managed to do. And the BFC doesn't even belong to a service. It's almost sad that it's independent, but it shows what firefighters are capable of when you just let them get on with it. And morally, what you guys are capable of, what you've achieved beyond the physical, is like a perfect manifestation of teamwork, collaboration, all of it.
The other sad thing for us is that the BFC is perceived as a business, as a company, that we're making money from it. But we don't. Any revenue which comes in goes back to the BFC, goes to the firefighter charities and various other charities as well. John, Rob, Chris, all of the key stakeholders, we dedicate our time, and we don't even get that time back. Now, that's our time.
Gets paid for it.
For me.
Oh, but you got a free pair of hikes boots. Oh yeah. Okay. Right.
And when you think about all of the time, we're family members.
But every year when you go to do the tower, I'm always like, I help out for a couple of hours, and then I'm like, Jesus, I've no idea how Mickey does this. Jesus
remember,
Christ.
I'm on day crewing, so
I know.
I'm normally coming off the back of a 96-hour shift, and I've got to get that tower loaded. That's 4 or 5 hours onto lorries. Then we ship it to wherever it's going, and then that's when it all starts for us. And it doesn't, my week of the BFC starts on a Tuesday and ends the following Tuesday once it all comes back and everything's parked up.
We're exciting time though now, because even through coming out here and having conversations with Dean Keeber and potentially North Ants, and next year potentially
the regional models
I'm
going.
just going to say it. There could be, and we've had conversation with Cleveland about a Northeast challenge.
Yeah, baby.
We've got Cheshire, so we've got a Northwest.
Scotland,
Wales. Scotland are interested. We've got the Welsh. We've got potentially a Midlands in the.
We need some down south people.
But then this all comes back to, right, we've created a model and a load of events that can sustain themselves once we've got them up and running. But it comes back to
it's not about growing the BFC now, because the BFC is tried and tested. It's sustainable. It's got good partners. It works.
We're setting up these regional events, but it comes back to what Mickey said, and we're at a transition period at the moment where we need to go to the very top people, the NFCC, our fire chiefs, and say, come on, this is something that's growing. It's good benefit to the whole country, to every firefighter
That's
in the
what I'm
UK.
saying. When you're looking for something positive to align to,
we need some assistance, and the assistance is we need some help for leave, because I can't keep taking this out of my girls and Charlotte's time, and I'm 100%. Putting her under pressure. 100%. Same with Mickey. He has a young daughter he needs to take care of. So there has to be at some point even more people that are coming to the helm and helping out in these competitions, which they are, the Cheshire guys, the Welsh. So we've got to grow and we need the support.
But this is what I'm saying, like, and we've said it a few times here. It's important that those senior leaders, we're not just having a conversation here with the greatest of respect, like station level knuckle dragon firefighters like me, to high five each other and go, let's go and do a thing on the side. I want to really articulate specifically how these SLT members can see, and it's not about box ticking, but it is about, they need to see how this does contribute to the strategic improvement of their services, their health and well-being, the value their members and their employees, grey and green book staff, can take from something like this, and how they can celebrate it and it's useful to them. Not like, oh yeah, if we've got time we'll do it as a little extra on site. No, this should be a core part of your strategic health and well-being of your services.
The camaraderie by getting people together. I don't think
the networking, everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure everyone necessarily understands how positive that is about meeting Germans, Estonians, the Americans, the Canadians. We've come out here and you celebrate the fire service from across the world. That gives you something. That gives you the pride. It gives you the positivity that you need to do your job, and have that self-esteem, the belief, and it's those things that make you positive and takes away some of that the mental health thing that we're going down.
You're right. It's about culture. You imagine, you think of an everyday watch on a mess deck, shooting a breeze, and you look at the general watch persona. If you've got an enthusiastic watch commander, and he's like, right, come on guys, look at this, let's do this. I mean, check, look at what ARAMCO have got. That fantastic gym. That gym was I was blown away. I was like, wow.
It's like a brand new pure gym in them places. Exactly. All the matting, the sleds, the everything.
Exactly. You imagine that. You're coming in, and if you've got that little bit of background, all it takes is 3 or 4 of you, to go in. Yeah. When I train at Rickmansworth, when I get all the equipment out, those people on shift, they'll come and take part. They're not interested in competing, but they look at it and think, let me have a go.
I'll play this.
And then they realise, they think, wow, this is really hard. And they just come in for the training. And that's almost like the psyche that you create. Well, let's come in for the training. I remember in the beginning days when I was out and people would be out the windows, mocking.
Yeah.
And I used to say, I know what that is. I said, you mock it because you can't do it.
You're scared of it.
And that's what you do. Get your friends involved. Let's mock him, but you can't do it.
Because you validate me not doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If we all take the Mickey out of Mickey, then it validates me being scared to do it, and that's okay. And Mickey's weird, isn't he? He's a freak.
Yeah,
he's
a fire service.
When you're driving home, though, and you're like, that's fucking impressive. That was.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And then you do it quietly at 11 o'clock on a night shift and go, I might have a play. I'm going to stick my fire kit on and get on a treadmill and go, Jesus Christ, I'm glad no one was watching.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
There's the old fire fit test, which is 6 lengths. So you get 1 length of hose, you run it out and you make it up 6 times for time. Yeah. If anyone ever challenges me, I'm like, come on in.
Yeah.
Let's go. Outside now.
Easy. Any fire station, you can do that.
Grab yourself 1 length of hose.
I remember why we lost that, because it was Tom Ashworth mentioned it again, didn't he, on the episode I did with him recently.
Reignited it for
and I was like, 6 length. Oh, why do we stop doing that? What a great test.
When I was training for the World Championships back in 2015, that was the end. That was the warm down.
Yeah.
That was warm. You're fatigued. I'm lying down. Mark Harrison. Right, let's go. Let's do 6 lengths. Hose run and make up.
Simplicity, brutal.
I remember in my head, I thought, I can't do that. And then I got up and did it. And it's interesting what your mind tells you. And the body is just such an amazing thing. Just the resilience of it, the way it's able to adapt, you know, going from running upstairs. When I just touched back to the tower block when I ran up once.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of months later, I had full fire kit. I can do that 3-4 times, no problem off the bat. Yeah. I know if I'm going to the top floor with hose, I'm still going to be effective. I'm not finished. I'm ready to go. Quick breath, and I'm ready to go for any kind of like thing. And that in my head was always the thing. Yeah, this is true firefighter.
And again, connecting the dots for people nationally. You know, big incidents, all of the high-rise work we're doing, the Grenfell outcomes, all of this sort of stuff. We know buildings are not as safe as we'd like them to be. This is not a scare tactic. I don't need to convince anybody. The data's out. Yeah. We need our firefighters to be capable of doing this stuff. I was looking at some of the great stairwell procedures that Manchester have got and the requirements. They're going to have stairwell protection teams. You're going to need firefighters to be able to get up to the 18th to make sure that compartment stays pressurised, put in detectors and smoke curtains on different... You're going to need a firefighter to do that. That is an expectation. It's not unrealistic.
I've been there. Yeah. You know, we were at a school fire. Yeah. And I spent the first 15 minutes running out a load of hose. Yeah. Loads of hose all over the place. And I stopped. So I'm done. And then
blowing out your ass.
You over here, BA. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Go up to the bridgehead.
Yeah, here you go.
I must have told you about Elizabeth House. Yeah. So I was sector commander and the lifts were out. So I ran to the 17th floor because at some point someone needed to get eyes on the fire. Fortunately, it turned out to be a fire that was out, but it could have taken hold and there was a lot of smoke.
Let's go.
So I ran to the 17th floor and this guy was coming out of his flat, coughing, choking on the smoke. And I got to the 17th floor and I needed a bit of a breather. I'm breathing hard. And this guy who's choking looks at me and goes, "Are you okay?" And I had to take a couple of breaths and go, "I'm fine, I'll be okay. Are you okay?"
But with respect, okay, you're not an elite athlete, but you are conditioned to this. Imagine, you know, a watch manager, crew manager, whatever from another station, they'd have tapped out of the 9th. You know?
Or even the 4th.
That's not the answer, is it? Yeah, that's not the answer. What are you going to do about it? No kit.
On a serious note, that is, you know, almost a repeat of what happened in Shirley Towers.
Yeah.
You know, Shirley Towers, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, man.
You've got the officer in charge and 2 BA. You know, they go up to. Someone comes out, says my girlfriend's still in there, and that instinctive let us react led to that unfortunate sad.
All of that was just getting to the scene of operation. Now I have to do the thing. Now you've got to do the thing. The thing that used to already knacker you outside a normal residential property.
And remember, when you get tired, the first thing to go is, you know, your
situational awareness, forgetting your helmet, Shirley, you know, all of these debriefs, little things like that. And that's why you have to, you know, train to that level. Not anyone can be an absolute savage when they're all prepped, they've had their coffee, they're in the nice little kit and so on and so forth.
Zone, Which is, we bring it back to the TFA, as referees, we're watching these guys. Yeah. And when they've done stage 2, they don't know where they are. Yeah. Even our guys, I see John, and he won't mind me saying this, but he was dragging the dummy, he went over the line, he dragged that dummy another 5 meters. He started dragging it around the corner. I thought he was going to take it around the course with him. And his face was, I don't know where I am.
Yeah. So let's take us to the here and now. So people will have seen some social media posts, I've seen some videos. I don't think it will have done justice. Let's put some words to the images. I mean, let's start with 80 tons of scaffolding.
Wow.
Jesus. It's on another scale.
A mind blower.
Oh my God.
A mind blower. You know, to set all of that up. That's, you know, that is next level scale. This is just next level stuff. You think of the cost implementation. Would we do that in the UK? No.
Hundreds of thousands.
I'm not sure they'll get away with that, though, to be fair.
There's no space to do the damn thing.
Yeah.
But you know what I love as well? Let's acknowledge, you know, Andrew and the Saudis and their willingness to bring. They've got the humility as well, because they're like, we've got the enthusiasm, we've got the funding, we've got the support, but we want your expertise. So we've got you guys, we've got some Australian refs, we've got some Portuguese refs. How's the experience been reffing and helping sure? Because this is a hard thing as well. It's like you guys have done a great job at making sure it's a good experience for the athlete by making sure it's ticking all the right boxes. So how has that all been?
From an organisational, you know, John and I, we know what it's like when you're organising something on a mess. I mean, this is BFC times 10.
Yeah.
You know, and all of the other stuff going around. This not just a TFA.
The logistics
all
of this
of the
is
logistics
crazy.
and stuff. So coming from that point of view, when we come in, there's no point in it. There's no ego here.
Yeah.
You know, we're just told, okay, they're in charge. We have a conversation, and what we do is we just fill in the gaps and we make things work, because that's the experience, you know, and we learn from the things that you know do or are not in place.
Yeah.
And then we
you
just
know what
feed
good
back
looks
in.
like,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you've seen it in 7 different versions in 7 different countries.
Yeah.
So when people have an idea for something and you're like, 100%, I love your enthusiasm, that's not going to work. We might just need to think of this.
Yeah.
Because I
Make
promise
it
you,
fair.
after 10, 12 runs, what you think is going to happen is not going to happen. That's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's being fair and consistent. And on the it's hard. It's really hard. Really hard.
These are long days for you. How many steps do you get the other day?
I think it's 32,000.
30,000 steps. John's out there constantly running up and down the course. Is because you're on stage 1, you're running up and down. You're on stage 1, so up and down the hose all the time.
Yeah.
Stage 2 is very complex. Everyone's talking about stage. Give people a bit of an idea what you're running on stage 2, John, because this is the one that's scaring everyone. I think it's the biggest. It's the biggest calorie punch and all, because there's so much in it. There's so many strength aspects in stage 2 as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so you're running onto the force
Stage
bench
2 is
machine.
almost its own BFC, sort of, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really.
100%,
Talk us through
because
stage 2.
The fastest are doing it in 2 minutes 15. The average is somewhere between 3 minutes, 3 minutes 30. So you're doing more than a BFC, or the equivalent of the BFC, and that's just one of 4 stages. You know.
So what's involved in it?
So yeah, you're running onto the force bench machine, and you've got to remember you've still got a lot of work to do after the hammer. So some people are going out hard on the hammer and then they're paying for it later. But yeah, you complete the force bench
Is it
machine.
a bigger force bench machine?
No, it's the same size.
Is it?
It's just the Kaiser. It's just the branded Kaiser, but it's the same size as our Core Haven
And
force
it's
bench machine.
not lubricated in
No,
any way, shape, or form.
some people are averaging like 14 to
harder.
19
Sorry, I thought you
hits.
said bigger.
No,
Sorry,
I
sorry.
did think bigger, because it feels like it's taking longer.
It's basically like one of the complications out here is volunteers.
Yes.
So in England, in America, everyone knows how these machines work, and what we do in England is we get the same people resetting the force bench machine every time. So we know if it's 2 sprays of lubricant, it's 2 sprays of lubricant. That's it. But out here, we can't do that. So what we've done is just wiped it clean, literally just the dust off, and then it goes again.
There's a lot of friction still, isn't there?
It's anywhere from some of the bigger guys are doing it in 15 hits, so it's still achievable. But some people are doing it in 30 hits. You know, it's taking a lot. Yeah, it's taking a lot out of you. They're running off the force bench machine. They are picking up a roof lead. So same as what we have in the UK, 70 kilo dummy. That drag is 35 metres round a cone and back, so 70 metres total. You then have to run a cone and pick up a 20 kilo container.
This is the bit that will be foreign to people.
Yeah, so you're picking up a foam drum, but what you're having to do is push it through a 12 metre tunnel, round a cone and back through that tunnel. So you're doing 24 metres in a tunnel, and it's the confined space element. It gets you low on your legs. It gets you into an uncomfortable position. You can't breathe.
Because your legs are already... mine personally, I did this yesterday, so mine was stacked from that casualty, more so than I thought they were going to be. And then you kind of going into a half squat, shimmy, isometric hold. Kept trying to stand up, bashing my set on the top. I felt like I got away with it a little bit. Some people, the first 2 days, I was worried, because it didn't seem like anybody had an answer for it. Some people were sliding, some people were falling over, some people just crawled through.
It's like a rugby scrum position.
It's a weird position, isn't it?
It's a tough one. And you finish that, you drop that down, you drop your BA set on the floor, and then you've got about 40, 50 metre run?
Yeah, it's about 40 metres.
To the wall, and then it's a
3 metres.
So this is a 3 metre wall.
3 metre wall
with
you've
a
got
steel lip.
Yeah,
on
so
it.
you pull yourself up some rope.
rope.
You've got a little ledge that you can just about get your feet onto, and then you've got to try and do like a
Is
muscle
it a
up
lower
technique.
ledge, do you think? Because
It's a big old muscle up
when
you've got
I
to do to
ran
get
it
over.
before, I think the ledge was higher, because I'm only saying it because there's been a few athletes, men and women, but we saw a very, very fit, talented athlete yesterday. Really, she couldn't get over it, which was really demoralising. It was tough to watch.
Yeah.
Because when she stood on it, it is shoulder height damn near, even when she's on the lip.
Yeah.
That was really unfortunate to watch.
Yeah.
It's a tough, because people were practicing it in trainers when we were allowed to, but then when you're in your fire boots, It's not a massive lip, and
you're
that's
tired.
fine. It's not unfair. It's fair for everybody. It's hard to push off.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. I think it's giving people the butterflies, that is.
Yeah, and I think it's also like I say, the hammer is tough. So what people are realising, it's taking a lot out of them before
You
they
ain't
get to the
jumping
wall.
fresh.
No, you aren't jumping fresh, and you've not got much left to get over that wall. So it's it's a leveler.
Yeah. So they're over that.
I think
and
if
then
you
it's
if you
buzz.
get over that wall, you're in a good position for the rest of the competition.
Yeah, the rest of it feels like just grunt work, but I haven't seen anybody. Sometimes in the BFC we see people tap out on the haul. Talk to people about the plates, Mickey, and then we've got the weight of the haul as well is different.
Yeah, so when you ascend the first, remember there's 2 staircases. The first staircase it's 3 floors.
Yep.
20 kilo weights, one 20 kilo weight in each hand. You can on the way up, if you can
Two-step it,
do
yeah.
2 steps, you can 2-step it up, but you must touch every step on the way down.
I think that's just a biomechanics thing.
Yeah.
'Cause most people are strong enough.
Yeah.
I was 2-stepping it, but I think that's only because I'm taller.
Yeah.
Like you can be like Zach is very strong in our
Yeah.
team, but he's not very tall.
Yeah.
So we had to single step
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
because it's a 40 kilogram lunge
Yeah.
up 3 floors. So it's a lot for people to do that. So they're getting up there. How heavy is the haul?
30 kilos.
That's a
lengths,
lot.
2 lengths.
It's 2 hose packs, isn't it? That, because again at the BFC sometimes we see people. Mind you, it's shorter haul, isn't it?
Yeah. So ours is pretty much double that.
Ours
think it
is
is, yeah.
3 floors. This is 2 floors. Yeah.
Yeah. It
So
feels
you've
significantly
got-
higher.
You've got
the
2
BFC
more
one.
flights of stairs at our competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2
yeah.
more flights.
40
I know
ours
they're
is
calling
40
this 3
meters.
floors, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel that high when you're
No,
up
it's,
there.
I think.
I'm not sure if it's a visual illusion because it's
Yeah.
right next to a 13
Yeah.
meter as well. Maybe
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
but it didn't feel like as long of a haul, but it's significantly
It's
heavier.
just heavy. I think it's maybe just about over halfway.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But at the BFC, it's 15 kilo pack, and in most European and American competitions, it's 20.
Yeah.
So 30 kilos, that's heavy. And for some people that weigh 60, 70 kilos, that's half their body weight.
And again, it's after 2
Yeah.
intense stages already, so they're getting that over the top. I don't think people are fully recognising that taped area, because I saw a few penalties yesterday. People not for obviously in the BFC we've got a box.
Yeah.
Here, it's a
Yeah.
taped area on the floor.
Right.
Some people are missing that.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few penalties on that. Penalties are savage here.
They are.
So in the
They're
BFC,
brutal.
remind me, are we 5-second penalties usually, or are they
Yeah.
what it
2
is.
seconds if you're missing steps.
2 seconds,
coming
5
down.
seconds?
Yeah.
Here, what are they? 2 minutes? 3 minutes? 5 minutes?
No,
There's-
it's only if you don't complete the stage. So
Yeah.
here is because you've got 4 stages. If you don't complete some of the required elements of each stage, then you are just timed out. So you have to complete the course in its entirety.
Yeah.
If you don't get over the
But
wall,
what if you make an error?
if you make an error, that's a penalty. But if you don't,
How much is the penalty then?
Between three
Yeah.
seconds and 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. So the
Yeah.
penalties aren't minutes.
Yes, some of them, but some of the things that you can not do that you can do wrong, which
Yeah.
will incorporate a penalty, comes under failure to complete the stage. And as we know, that's the
That's
4
basically
minute, that's the
you're
4
out the
minute.
comp.
Yeah, you're out.
You ain't got a finishing time.
yeah,
on
if
that.
you don't drag that dummy far enough, if you don't get the Kaiser over a certain distance,
Yeah,
if you don't get over the wall,
Yeah,
or
if you don't
lift the
advance
hose
the
pack,
hose,
yeah.
if you don't advance the hose over that line,
Yeah.
technically that's an incomplete stage.
Yeah.
so you're timed out for that
Yeah.
stage.
So we've seen loads. We've got a couple of days left. We're going to see the rest of our males, our older males today. Tomorrow we've got all of our females coming up today.
Yeah.
What we've got to look forward to closing out the week. How have you guys found it so far? And is there any kind of closing things we want to leave people with? Because when we get back and when this comes out, we'll be rolling into the Welsh and then the British. Give us a bit of a wrap up.
Well, for us, for me, once I get back, it's just straight back into training. We've got competitions in Europe. We've got firefighter challenges, in various locations. Polish, in Poland, we've got Firefit in Poland, we've got Firefit in Mainburg, and those are kind of like the run-up competitions, to the BFC. After that,
BFC is going to be great this year.
Yeah.
Kev's last year.
Kev's last year as a commentator, we ain't seen the the last of Kev. Kev can move on. He can move to a different job. He's got a different
he'll
job
swing
every
back
2
in,
minutes.
It's like a homing pigeon.
Yeah, he'll come back.
he'll
Mate.
swing back in.
He's not leaving us. I think he's leaving the microphone with you for the events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's stepping down from the microphone, but yeah, he's left a hell of a legacy. And, you know, from one car park from a British Firefighter Challenge in Nottingham to now hosting regionals all over the UK, it's exciting times. It is exciting times. So, yeah, that would be my take home, is for anybody listening, it's get involved in a regional if you've never done them.
Yep.
Or just get straight involved in the British. There's no harm in, and this is what I try and teach people on the fire ground that back home is, be prepared to fail. It's okay. It's okay to fail, because what it will is it makes you go back and makes you look at your own training.
Just remember that.
I was thinking it's like your bank account. Not looking at your bank account is not going to help. You do need to face the fact that if there's not money in there, you can't keep spending and just hope for the best.
Yeah, because it
face
will
it,
come back.
do something about it.
You need to work.
Remember
on
that
it.
all successes are built on a multitude of failures.
100%.
You know, and that's what you need. If you can't be afraid of failure, because what failure does is it truly judges where you are at, and then you know where you need to be. Yeah. Like I said, I remember sitting down looking and then going back next year, completing it, going back the third year and being top 3 in my age category. Yeah, man. And then when you hit that height, that's when you think, wow, that's an
got to swallow a big humility pill to get that, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I'm on for stupid tattoos. I've got a big one on my ribs that says win or learn. Yeah. And that's everything. Everything is win or learn. That's it.
That's the truth.
As long as you choose, as long as you lean into it. Well, look, if people look under the podcast in this, we will put, because the best place to see this stuff will be the social. So we'll put a link to BFC, Cheshire, and Welsh. That's the best place to be for when the registration comes out. Obviously, literally these sell out in a couple of hours now. BFC sold out super quick, but people can still come and watch. Come and be part of it, see it, touch it, talk to the athletes, talk to us, get familiar with it, and we hope to see everybody end of July at the BFC. Beautiful. Cheers, fellas.
Pleasure, Pete.
I'm busted for this.
The Firefighters podcast was created to recognize, acknowledge, inspire, and hopefully even motivate these incredible individuals who have chosen to be part of the first responder community. Our driving purpose is to create a legacy resource for the current and future generations of firefighters and first responders. We get some incredible feedback from listeners and guests, and as the podcast grows, our desire to create longevity and sustainability means that we are asking for the support of our listeners. If you want to support the podcast, if you want to get discounts to our merchandise, hoodies, clothing, coins, patches, tallies, and also access to all of the incredible documents get shared with us from our podcast guests and sector leaders, and please head over to our Patreon page, and for just £3 a month you can support the future of the podcast. Please finally hit that follow, subscribe or rate button on the platform you're listening, and wherever you are in the world, please support your emergency services responders, and thank you for listening.